政府官，中央人民政府今天胜利了。
但是你们能不能？
刚才问我啊，我可以回半点去，无可奉告。我也不高兴。
哎，什么叫中国共产党啊？党叫干啥就干啥。
黑夜即将到来，一定要做好准备。
是。
干死共产党！不干死共产党，绝不罢休！
消灭中共是正义的需要。
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Exposing the CCP. I'm glad to be back. I've been taking care of some family stuffs in the past 2 weeks, but good to see the audiences today, and good to see Chris and also Mr. True. And hi, everyone. Hi, Chris. Hi, Mr. True.
Hi, Z. Welcome you back, and I'm happy to be on the show again tonight. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, welcome Z. You look so wonderful. Looks like you had a good rest as well. Okay, thank you everyone, and good to be on the show again. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So we're gonna still continue to fight with the CCP. You know, exposing CCP is our job, and until we take them down fully. And there's so many things in the past few weeks. You know, we followed a lot of news in Iran, Middle East, and now we also see some evidence of the CCP's influence. I mean, globally. But today's focus is still on Miles Guo's case. You know, we have been hopefully you have been following Miles Guo and the NFSC for a while, and recently there is going to be a trial for his case very soon, and there's some. We're not going to specifically discussing too much details about the document, but we'll probably focus is on the potential influence of the CCP on this case, and we can see what's going on. So first of all, let's go to again, Chris. I think you have collected some information that you would like to share with the audience. So please go ahead and start. Thank you.
Okay. So the CCP's judicial unrestricted lawfare against Mr. Miles Guo is currently underway. From the document A22, fully represent the complete picture of the case, including Mr. Miles Guo's life story and personal experiences. The CCP's abuse and imprisonment of Mr. Miles Guo after the 1989 June 4th massacre, the persecution directed at Mr. Miles Guo himself, as well as his family members, relatives, and employees, and also his political background, the mission of the whistleblower movement, and the true purpose of the G series. And also the document A33 requested a sentence of at least 30 years in prison and heavily smears Mr. Mouse Squirrel and the G series, portraying him as a cult leader, alleging a global fraud scheme, claiming 1.3 billion in losses, etc. The prosecution is fully pushing its unrestricted lawfare, using highly emotional language and grossly exaggerated accusations to support this extreme sentence. And later on, the document A34 systematically refutes and piercing through every unreasonable aspect of document A33, including its logical loopholes, factual distortions, and rhetorical smears. It is currently the most complete and powerful counterattack document in our hands. The defense attorney have meticulously dismantled all of the prosecution's argument with precise and rigorous legal reasoning. Document A34 is precisely the systemic rebuttal written by the defense attorneys in direct response to the prosecution's sentencing memorandum A33. It clearly demonstrates how document A34 strikes back and exposes the core unreasonable claim made by the prosecution in document A33. First, the lost amount is completely fabricated. The prosecution treated the total inflow amount into the bank account as the actual loss. The defense points out that this figure merely represents transaction flow and does not deduct refunds, redemptions, or funds used for legitimate business purposes. Furthermore, it improperly included the 411 million from the GTV private placement, conduct for which Mr. Mouseball has already been acquitted. The defense demands that the court must hold a fatical hearing to determine the true and accurate loss amount. Second, acquitted conduct is illegally included in the sentencing calculations. The prosecution insists on including the GTV private placement, conduct for which the jury expressly returned a not guilty verdict in the lost calculations. And also the document A34 directly cited U.S. Sentencing Guideline Amendment A26 and the principle established in Griffin versus United States, pointing out that this approach would render the amendment meaningless and constitutes a serious violation of law. Third, thousands of investors publicly deny victim status. More than 6,500 Himalaya Exchange clients and 324 Hamilton investors have submitted A53N petitions, explicitly stating, "I'm not a victim." In addition, there are more than 1,200 letters of support. The prosecution completely ignores this evidence and continues to smear Mr. Mouseball by repeatedly referring to thousands of victims. Fourth, the prosecution's rhetorical strategies are thoroughly dismantled. Document 834 contains a dedicated chapter that lists the prosecution's 6 major rhetorical tactics: emotional sensationalism, repeatedly referring Mr. Miles Guo's wealth, repeated referencing Mr. Miles Guo's wealth, Brignoni suits, and luxurious lifestyle. Fact-washing, disguising the prosecution's own submissions as neutral court findings, and this repetition of global fraud and thousands of victims. Taking video out of context and attributing support actions to Mr. Miles Guo, smearing Mr. Miles Guo as a cult leader. The defense points out that all of these are propagandistic smears and are highly consistent with the CCP's language used to attack Mr. Miles Guo. And the fifth, CCP's interference and political prosecutions are relevant sentencing factors. Document 834 explicitly states that the CCP's transnational prosecutions against Mr. Miles Guo, including asset freeze, media censoring, and media blocking, and coercing of witnesses, must be taken into account under 3553A. This is not merely a request for mitigation, but goes to the very essence of the case. 6. Comparable cases show that a 30-year sentence is grossly excessive, even in the Bankman-Fried case cited by the prosecution itself, involving $8 billion in losses. The defendant received only 25 years. Document 834 points out that the actual loss in this case is far lower, and the sentence should be therefore be substantially below the comparable cases referring by the prosecution. So the final summary of document 834. The defense attorney explicitly requests that the court reject the prosecution's demand for a 30-year sentence, impose a sentence substantially below the sentencing guideline range, hold a fatical hearing so that the truth can be tested through open adversarial proceedings. Document 833 is currently one of the most powerful legal weapons in the fight against the CCP's judicial unrestricted warfare. It's not only seek a fair and just sentence for Mr. Miles Guo, but also publicly dismantle and expose all of the prosecution's lies and smear in the open court. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Chris. A lot of details in the documents, 833, 834. I think a few points I still would like to share from my personal perspective is the one thing is the judicial due processes. You know, I know a lot of evidences has been supported or at least partially provided from the CCP side, but the court or it may have been ignored, and that impartial influence was not taken into account. Second thing is regarding the victim definition, and you know, a lot of victims has been forced, I know, is by the CCP or have been infiltrated by the CCP to provide the so-called fraud evidence. But if you really take the survey from one of us, most of the followers, I can't say all of them, but most of the followers from NFSC, we say that we're not the victims. We're not really the victims of any financial losses or any fraudulent processes. So that's a totally different thing. So to me, that's super critical. It's the foundation, but it has been kind of ignored or not taken into account fully during this process. And I'm not going to say too much. I know Mr. True have a lot to say too. Please go ahead, Mr. True. Talk about your thought on this and on Miles Guo and on the CCP's influence.
Oh, thank you, Z, and thank you, Chris, particularly to provide such a detailed background information. So what we like to do that due to our limited time, like to go straight to the point. Okay, so this case is basically in the structure at this moment. The cases is rely on the document 833, the prosecution, okay, which requests 30+ years sentencing, but the defense documents 834, okay, so the defense rebuttal. So, and the battlefield is now in the sentencing phase, basically. So let's go into detail. The defense strategy is that the collapse of loss calculation. So you know what the loss they claim to be? It's 1.3 billion alleged losses. We know that there isn't anything lost. Anything we lost is in the GDV when the government, okay, when this and locked our platform. In my exchange, where the price going was around 45 US dollars per Gcoin. But then because of the confiscate our platform, what happened? Then the price went down to 11 US dollars. That losses is not the losses where the capital inflow has allowed to. The capital inflow investment, in other words, from all our global fighters to against the CCP, where you have 1.3 billion roughly, but there's nothing lost in there, so one must be aware of that. So this is number one. If there is no losses, okay, they claimed the money is there, especially the GTV, which we have redeemed back. I mean, I'm a chair investor. I know that apart from the government charged, I think about 8.6%, and then the rest of the fund actually was refunded back. Okay, so that should not regard as losses. Okay, just for example, but that was added in as losses. So this is a damn simple mathematical calculation of adding or minus. Why that cannot be straightened? So the definition, our defense strategy, no losses. Okay. So also, as Z pointed out, that the victim definition, if all of us, apart from a few of those guys, are actually infiltrated into our project by the CCP, which is clearly, and also the few of internal persons claim they have lost anything, okay, but they actually only invested so much, and then the figures there, they are actually sold out the Gcoin and they made several tens of $1,000s, which they paid very little. Our H-coin actually has gone from 10 cents into 40. So this is like a $450. Okay, 450 times of uplifting. Okay, from investor to outcome. Some of them deemed out. Which one of the person I know is a lady lived in Melbourne. And she actually claims she is a victim, but indeed she made so much money. This is so too obvious. Okay, so that's challengeable and very much that definition. Okay, and then I think what we're gonna attack them is the inflow doesn't equal to the actual losses. Remember, I mean investment doesn't equal to losses because Miles Guo didn't take 1 cent out of it. I mean, they talk about all you know our office in New Jersey, okay, that office, and that's the G Club's asset. Nothing to do, nothing lost. Okay, in fact, I think the price must be probably doubled now, given the U.S. Property price has gone up. That's number. But what about the Lady May? You know, Lady May, where Miles Gore's super office in the Hudson River Park there, and we often see him do broadcasting live there. Beautiful. But that boat was actually a contribution from Miles Gore's family, from his daughter, okay, Gore May, and that was bought before we started any investment. So that shouldn't be confiscated, but then calculated as losses. That's ridiculous. So that's the thing. Then what about Miles Gore's office in the Sherry Hotel in the 18th floor? Okay. But that they bought that a long time ago, before even started the any GTV and so on, any G business and G theory investment. So that is also from Miles Gore's family, his son, I think Gore Chang, and he actually contributed that to Miles Gore, to his dad. I mean, how could you take the family, asset, Miles Gore's asset, before we even know Miles Gore started the anti-CCP movement, the New Federal State of China. Before any of that happened, those assets already existed. But how could you confiscate? How could Luke Desmond and the trustee taken, private asset away and then name it as losses? Can you see that point? So that's ridiculous. So that's the losses, okay? I mean, that's so in other words, also GTV already not guilty, remember, okay? There was GTV then I think Miles Gore mentioned that he paid $2 million to Bundy's brother, the DOJ's recently, okay, I don't know, maybe the new DOJ's boss was appointed, and the old boss, Pam Bondi, was left, and his brother took the money, and that was Miles Gore's attorney, and that was settled, okay, settled, and is not guilty, okay, and cannot be therefore reused in sentencing, but that was added on as a sentence, which will violate legal fairness, okay. So and then the so-called critical reduction factor, okay, that must be taken out from the figures. So what I've seen that it's to me, this victim narrative it's really essential. Do you know what we have 6,500 plus investors, the whistleblowers, the followers of Miles Gore's New Federal State of China and taking down CCP movements, deny the victim status. Okay, I'm one of them. I'm sure all of you guys deny it. And there is also, okay, and 324 legal petitions filed, plus 1,200 plus supporting letters, okay, to see that we are not victims. We are the victim of the DOJ, okay, of the SEC. We are not victim of Miles Gore. Miles Gore never taking any money out of it. In fact, his family contributed so much money into the movements. And the victim definition definitely, it's contest. Definitely need to be, that. So if a case of fraud, without most of them say we're not victim of Miles Gore's of all the project. I mean, the project belong to our fellow fighters, okay, and then there's no money Miles Gore never taken, but indeed I just mentioned Lady May and the 18th floor of Sherry hotels, that one which has been since the 15th of March 3 years ago, and there was burned, okay, after FBI raided the office, and a few hours later it was fired. But then there's no further to say who actually, but someone trying to accuse Miles Gore burned the building. I mean, how he could do that? He wasn't even there, okay? So all those cases, You know why it happens in this way? I think because someone this is what called this is called the restricted warfare, law warfare against Moscow, against our take down the CCP movements, and there's no victims. Okay, and none of us believe we are the victims. We are victim of the unfairly closed down our our GTV and so on, our platforms. Okay, so we're going to we're going to look at those cases, and let's hope that the Biden's DOJ's criminal team and those guys are hopefully under Trump's, make America great again. Those guys are gonna know where they should go, and let justice prevail, let the truth prevail. Let's take down the CCP. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you, Daisy. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. True. I think all these points are very valid and a good point. Is there if the so-called victims are not real victims, and what's the foundation of this? And plus, and the court still doesn't take the evidences that Miles has provided, that a lot of CCPs have influence behind it. Who pays for the lawyer fees for these, bankrupt cases, what's going on with the law firm, who provided the evidences, who claimed to be their victims, are they currently located in mainland China, are they CCP members, are they influenced by them? There's so many questions that the fellow fighters knows exactly what's going on. However, it probably will take some time. Hopefully, the court and the justice will take time to completely review this case again and to make the right decision and in the next few weeks. But it's our job to expose the truth, to share our opinions, and that's all about it. If you look at this, I think also Mr. Chu gave another great example. In the past few years, we see that the DOJ has been weaponized. It's no longer a neutral and non-biased organization in the U.S. system now, and there's so many political entrapment, like President Trump, Peter Navarro, and Mr. Steve Bannon. A lot of people, Rudy Giuliani, they have been persecuted, or at least partially because they're against the CCP. So CCP try to use their influence to try to send them to prison, basically. And a lot of things has been weaponized. So the foundation problem is what's going on. Is our judicial system really severely infiltrated by the CCP? If so, we got to take action. I'm not asking directly, response to Miles Wolf's cases, but we have to do something to stop the CCP, right? And because before things are getting even worse. So that's the point of our exposing the CCP, to help the U.S., the Westerners, to understand the threat is right now. And on the land of the United States, we cannot hesitate to take action. We got to take action right now, immediately. Okay, so I think we still get a few more minutes, maybe for each of you, a couple more minutes so we can wrap up. Let's start with Chris again. Please go ahead.
Okay. The last thing I want to say is that Mr. Moscow's case will become a landmark precedent in the future, helping the United States cleanse the CCP's infiltration within the U.S. Department of Justice. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly. So the facts, it's the facts versus the perception, the CCP's narratives, okay, and the weaponization of DOJ and through BGY, okay. So I think that if you follow the money, follow the PP, follow New Federal Reserve of China, I'm sure the truth will prevail. Law must be prevail. Let's take down CCP. Let's wait and see. I'm sure Moscow will be freed very soon, and CCP will be out of the world. Thank you.
Yes, if you are determined, understand the threat of the CCP is real, and everybody does do their own work. Doesn't have to be very big jobs. I'm gonna go get into the war or fight with the CCP directly. spreading the truth, help more and more people to understand that communism is bad and we need to stop the CCP, and everybody do a little bit things, and then I think the CCP will be terminated very soon. All right, great. Thank you very much for following us. Please stay tuned, and we're going to see you next week to expose more truth about the Chinese Communist Party, about the threat, about everything. And we'll hope to see you next time. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Mr. True, and have a good day.
All right. Thank you.
Flower. Thank you. Take down the CCP.
Thank you.
Yep.
Take down CCP.
The night has come this far, not because it chose to leave, but because it was never meant to stand. Darkness may appear powerful, yet it exists only where light...
At this juncture, we will win 100% of the lawsuit in the end. We have no doubt about it. However, before we win, we have to pay a lot of prices, even arresting me for contempt of court. To arrest and humiliate me has been the CCP's purpose from day one. Then, the CCP wants to link more assets to this case, take them away, and use them to destroy the G-series, etc. This is their plan. But now there are two facts that are absolutely 100% ironclad. First, we will win in the end. That is, we will win in procedural justice with the entire evidence. With the final perfection of the evidence, the result is that the truth will prevail. They cannot fabricate it. The U.S. judiciary will have no other choice but to give this case a final and fair truth in the end. So, we must pay close attention to this case and the laws of the United States. The CCP is manipulating the laws of the United States. We must use this case to help it regain its power and hold it to justice. There is no doubt about this. Second, the media has been paying attention to my case for nearly a year, including TV series and continuous reports. The U.S. Department of Justice will definitely investigate. The Ministry of Justice, equivalent to the Chinese Procuratorate and the prosecutors of the Ministry of Justice, will definitely investigate. Congress will definitely investigate Sean Weijian, Edward Moss, and other people, as well as the collusion and money transfer into BVI. The CCP can't cover the whole thing up. In the end, the U.S. will definitely investigate the political collusion and interest transfer of the West, including in the BVI. There's no doubt about this. I think the White House corruption with Higginbotham and the U.S. Department of Justice corruption will be investigated, and at the end, you'll find the most intriguing thing here. In all cases, the Pax case, the case with Higginbotham, Zhou Lo, and Berno Wu, and the Bushuen case with Xiong Xinmin, Xia Yaoliang, and Guo Baoxing, as well as Wu Zheng's fraud cases with Tencent Music and the Digital Domain Media Group, will all be linked together, and the U.S. Department of Justice will make a conclusion. Wow, it is clear that there are only 3 or 4 people with a huge amount of money to do with this. Finally, the truth will be revealed to the world. The U.S. will annihilate the CCP's dark forces using the BGY blackmail, bribery, and honey traps to infiltrate the U.S. judicial system and at the same time punish those who lost their conscience and accepted the CCP's black money. And finally, the new federal state of China will become a righteous hero in the U.S., a real legend, and make movies and TV series.